Howdy, everyone. This is Sharon with Self Care You Podcast. I'm your host, Sharon, the number one self caregiver in the world. And remember, with this podcast, is the intersection of self care, advocacy, and compassion for self caregivers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so, for this episode, what I want to talk about is the greatest investment that you will ever make in your entire life is, you know what it is? Drum roll. The greatest investment is you. And you may have heard me talk about it before. And definitely, I know you heard me talk about it on Self Care You Nuggets and um, conscious sharing moments and conscious sharing moments, which is now Self Care You Nuggets. In that, in order to be successful in life, is for you to be successful for yourself, to yourself, and through yourself. And you may have heard me say this. And let me ask you this. How many of you invest in personal development, self development? For most of us who have a job, we do that. That's automatic. But one thing that I will tell you mm, 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 in that life shows up so that you can level up. I'm going to put it like that. And so it also shows you in those areas that you can expand. And, like you may think that something doesn't apply to you or you're good because I was this way myself. And this is another reason why I am so passionate about self care. Seriously, seriously, y'all. This is twofold. And I may have said it before on the previous episode. In that, for the financial abundance that we all want and we're working towards, is to have the abundance within yourself. You're like, oh, Sharon, what do you mean? Yeah, yeah, yeah. The main thing is to be intentional about who you're hanging around. Are you hanging around? Again, I wasn't always that way. You know what I'm saying? And no flack on none of my friends who may not be what I'm talking about. But let's just say it's like, do I really know anybody who makes $100,000? So if I want to be in that area, I need to hang around those individuals where I can learn so that I can be motivated to have bigger dreams. Because that's the other thing. When you do not dream big, in that, you do not go big, you do not level up, and you're okay. Because, it's like, oh, I'm good. No, you have something inside of you that somebody needs. But then not only that, you have you that you need. And when I say that, I'm talking to myself as well. And so, one of the premise of this Self Care You podcast, one of the premise of the original reason is so that you can take care of yourself, so you can be more supportive for others, so that you can advocate for yourself, so that you can advocate for others. But one thing that I have found is that a lot of times, oh, we will go to bat for others, but not for ourselves. And I've been guilty of that, not intentionally, but I've been guilty of that as well. And so, in saying all of this, when it comes to you, what are the things that you want to do in order to expand yourself, in order to level up? What dreams do you truly have? Because in order to get there, there's nowhere around it. You got to invest in yourself. You got to sit down. And even if somebody like with your upbringing, with any abuse, I'm not taking none of that away, okay? but it's a duality. It's address those, but grow too. Because if you just, anytime we just focus on the one thing, especially if the one thing is weighing, then it's going to not allow you to level up. Now you can say, "Oh, Sharon, well, I know people who have all of this and that going on, and they've made all of this money, but are they enjoying life? Are they living in joy?" And so the other thing is that those childhood experiences, they call them adverse childhood experiences, the ACEs, I like to call it childhood experiences that have adverse impact on us, because of the fact some experiences can be our interpretation on how we viewed it at such a young age. I mean, we didn't know no better. And then not only that, half the time it's our nervous system reacting to it. This is why we need self-care. You need self-care because there are things that you don't understand, but you still need to work on it. That's just like for myself. I've always said, "Hey, I have no ill feelings, like, about my dad not being in my life." But I didn't know until later in life of how much of an impact that that really did have on me. And again, it's on a subconscious level. You don't even know it. It's in the driver's seat of how you view the world, of what you do or what you don't do. And so, in saying all of that, it is really imperative for you to sit down with yourself. This is what this is all about. I mean, it's like if you're not happy, what are you doing about it? What can you do about it? Where are you going? Where are you driving? Because just by talking about it, don't get me wrong, sometimes you may need to release it, but you got to also do something about it too. And then be careful of how much you're talking about it because it continues to manifest. And so the biggest investment that you can make in anything that you do, and it's not even about doing, it's about being, it's about becoming in that, being a learning seat. Be a student, but also be a driver too. Be a teacher, be an educator. Because one thing I can say, if you be a student too much and then you may and may not be practicing what the things that you are consuming. And again, when I say having success in life, not just the external things, but more so of who you are, where you going, what do you want to be, what are you standing up for? Because again, um, even though, like generally, I always say that we all can benefit from therapy. And I'm all about choice. And so, whether you go to therapy or not, but one thing that I will say, the message of that really is that it's very important to process you and to be able to look at things, to be able to have conversations. I mean, you can do this among friends when you can have deep conversations, not just surface level things. Not that. And so the other thing is when it comes to the greatest investment that you can have, let's talk about finances for a moment. You've heard me talk about it before, especially lately, is that we're saying we want to be a millionaire, but what steps are we taking to be a millionaire? It's not just a mindset, but what actually steps have you sat down with a financial professor? I'm talking about professor, a professional. That too, meaning somebody to educate you about finances. And so, are you prepared for life? Are you prepared for death? That's what insurance for. Insurance isn't just for death, it's for life. as well. Are you ready for retirement? Do you really have the best plan? Because what I've learned, yeah, we just took what the job told us to, right? And then when it comes to, having your dreams, what is that all about? And family planning, your entire family, are they set? Not are they set when you die, but are they set while you're living? And how are you building your legacy, especially if you got a business? And college planning, what options are the best ones for your child or your niece or nephew or grandchildren? And what do you know about how money grows, how money is taxed, what tax advantages that you can have, and what difference does that really make? Because I tell you, I had no idea. I'm like, oh, that's not for me. But then not realizing the big impact it can have when you pay taxes later. You're like, oh, I don't have the money for it now. Hey, you have the money for other things that may not have been important. We've all been there. And do you know how to protect your money? And so, what are you preparing for? But in order to be prepared for that, you got to make an investment in your time, investment in your energy, investment in taking the time to learn. So, the greatest investment that you can have is, again, within yourself. And so, take the time, self care community, to take care of yourself because of the fact that there's just so many layers of us, of you, that you don't even know that you're functioning. Take the time to pay attention to how you're responding. And even though we want to say, because I would say it's a duality, even though we want to say it's the way that some people are, that may be true. But if we know that somebody is a certain way, why get upset? Why be triggered? And of course, when it comes to trigger, they're automatic. So that means that there's something that we need to work on, that we go deeper within ourselves so that you won't get triggered. Because the more that you're not triggered, the more that you can live in your purpose. That's the whole thing. Because if not, it can literally derail you. And those childhood experiences that adversely impact us, sometimes it just may be those little fender benders of what stress does. Then sometimes they could be outright accident, or those fender benders can turn into accidents. That's what ends up happening a whole lot. Most of the time, it's not the raindrops, you know what I'm saying? Is when the raindrops end up turning into a flood. That's what happens when we do not tune into ourselves. So this is why it's the greatest investment that you can do for yourself, to learn to say, oh, well, I don't need that. I'm good. Yeah, I thought that too with certain aspects of my life. But man, it allows you to have some experience until you address it head on. Because it's almost like, even if it's not on purpose, because sometimes, we may purposely, consciously suppress things, but most of the time, the suppression is not even conscious. So, this is one reason why we need to intentionally say, hey, is there anything there? And the other thing is, we need other people. We need other people to activate us because we don't even know that it's there. But because it's there, it's that very thing that could be holding us back, holding you back of doing the things that you really want to do, and not just put it off to say, oh, well, it's just a dream. No, dreams can be active. And so when it comes to having the greatest investment with ourselves, for ourselves, to ourselves, through ourselves, in that is to be able to invest in courses and workshops, in listening to YouTube and watching podcasts, is to be able to get with individuals, who have overcome and surpassed some things. And so look forward to my upcoming online course on Rest, Rejuvenate, and Recover Self Care Acts. And especially for those of you who are busy leaders and professionals. Because as you are investing in yourself on a daily basis, sometimes moment by moment, these are the things that are going to help you with your life. Because it helps you stay in tune with yourself so that you won't get as activated on the outside world. So definitely stay tuned for that. And also, you can register at bit.ly, that's bit.ly /RRR practices. Go to the website and register today. And also with this course, it comes along with videos, it comes along with instructions, it comes along with the ebook, and you have lifetime access as well. And so, as you continue the journey of life, and this doesn't mean that something is wrong, like that you're sad or you're depressed or anything like that, but it's to help you to remain on an elevated state. The other thing is that there are parts of us that sometimes that can live in duality where there's something in the shadow. That's when they call it shadow work, something in the shadow that's kind of just there, but we're still able to move on. And this is where we're mistaken because it's those things that can explode, implode, and really just take over your life. So this is another reason why you are your greatest asset. So the greatest investment you can ever make is within yourself. If you don't feel like doing something, unless it's really, really, really important, and I'm not going to even say if it's important, if it's like life and death. Because my thing is, if it's not life and death, then everything else can wait. Because everything always works out. Everything always work out. Everything is, you can figure it out. And so as you're on your journey to life, take time to smell the flowers. Take time to do the things that you really want to do. And then sometimes the greatest investment is doing the things you may not want to do, but that's going to lead to the things that you love in the end. Some people call it sacrifices, but it's definitely discipline. And so I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Self Care You podcast. Continue to listen, continue to share. And then for those of you who are on YouTube, definitely, I love to hear from you in the comments.